I'm Patrick Gavin, POLITICO. It is now time to turn the table with CNN's Candy Crowley. Candy, what is your sort of best, latest guess on how long this federal shutdown might last?
2 weeks ago, I was talking to a very smart person who used to be in government, is now outside and running a think tank, and I said, what's going to happen here? And he said, what's going to happen is this will roll into the debt ceiling. So, he said, I don't think you will see an end to the government shutdown until mid-October or maybe a little later. I'm beginning to believe that may be correct, simply because when you look at the dynamics of what's going on inside the Republican caucus, I don't think they are there yet and ready to give anything up. And if you go outside and listen to the public words of Senator Reid and the president, there's no give there either. So this does seem to me that it's going to require a package that encompasses more than the CR, or a package that runs alongside the CR.
You know, it's interesting. I think you're right that a lot of people, if you had a guess, think that the president might be more, again, you could call it stubborn or principled than perhaps the Republicans may be in the next coming weeks. But do you think that the president is going to end up having a budget bid, or are we kind of just looking at the Republicans with regards to where some movement will happen?
I don't know. I have to say that I do think and agree somewhat with the idea that the president overall will probably be hurt by this in some way, but he has this ace in the hole, really, which is, frankly, that he doesn't have to run again for anything. So it doesn't matter if they dip. It doesn't seem to weaken his hand on Capitol Hill because he has solid Democratic support at this point. And can you imagine, would there have been solid Democratic support for this CR, which they think completely underfunds things? And a lot of liberals, Democrats, had said, I don't know that I can vote for that CR. Now they will. So he's got solid Democratic support and no election to run for. I think it makes him more powerful in the negotiations rather than less, despite his approval rating.
You know, Treasury Secretary Jack Lew's hitting all the Sunday shows this weekend. What are you looking to get out of him? What are the kind of questions that you'd like to see him answer?
I think, to an extent, I mean, we know why he wants to come on. He wants to come on and talk about how awful it will be if the debt ceiling is not raised. But I think there are other things. I think, certainly since the Treasury Department is in some ways involved in Obamacare, I think, that is a sort of a way to go, a line of questioning. And also, if it's so important at this point, why wouldn't there be negotiations? I mean, if there's a real fear, and now we're hearing that John Boehner also has said that, we're going to raise the debt ceiling. We won't allow the country to default. Now, you and I know there's a lot of negotiation between two men agreeing on an end and, actually getting there. But the fact is both the Speaker and the President have said a default can't happen. So there's some commonality there. But the truth is, if a default would be as bad as this administration and many economists say it would be, why wouldn't you be in there saying, what would it take? We've got to do this.
Slightly switching gears, for our feature question this week, it is part of Politico's Women Rule series in partnership with Google and Tory Burch. And the question is, there's some people who would speculate that if there were more women in Congress, that these kind of partisan shutdowns like we're seeing this week wouldn't in fact happen, that women would do a better job of communicating and reaching across the aisle. Do you agree with that? Is that a likely scenario, or do you think that politicians are politicians no matter what their sex?
That's a hard one. I do think that women are configured more toward compromise. I do think that women there's something in the DNA, whether it's, I don't know what it is, but they do tend to be a little better at lowering the level of the language, not a my way or the highway. And there are exceptions. So this is a gross generalization, as all generalizations are. And so you would like to think that. But honestly, look at Senator Dianne Feinstein or Senator Barbara Boxer or Patty Murray or any of the females on the House side, be they Republicans or Democrats. There's a lot. They are tough. They are tough, and so if they believe in where they're going, they may be more collegial. We might not hear this, but I don't know that if push came to shove, that it isn't the politician in them that would rise above their gender. So I'd like to think it, and I would like to think it wouldn't get to this point. But if it got to this point, I think female politicians would be every bit as adamant as the males are.
It's hopeless then, I guess. All right, Candy, you've got Jack Lew on your program this Sunday. What else can we expect to see?
Senator Ted Cruz is going to join us. So he's had an interesting week, and so I look forward to talking to him.
All right, Candy Crowley, CNN. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks, Patrick.